Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today with a feeling that I think basically every single person listening has felt at least once in the last 6 months or so.
Oh, yeah. I had a pretty good guess where you're going with this.
You probably do. So you are sitting at your desk. You are absolutely buried in actual work, the operations, the stuff that actually makes the business money.
Right. The real work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you take a quick 5-second break just to clear your head. You pick up your phone, you open LinkedIn or maybe Instagram, and bam, you see it.
The competitor.
The competitor.
Right. Yeah.
Or, even just that peer in your industry who somehow seems to have infinite free time. And they've just posted this perfectly edited, high-energy video case study.
Oh, with the pop-up captions and the trending
Yes,
audio.
it has B-roll, it has flawless lighting, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And you just kind of stare at it. Then you look at your own company feed.
And it is a barren wasteland.
Completely. The last thing you posted was, like, a blurry photo of a conference badge from 3 months ago.
That is the classic Instagram guilt. It is a very real, very visceral thing for business owners and busy professionals today.
It really is. And in that specific moment of guilt and, honestly, stress, a light bulb goes off in your head. You think to yourself, I am a busy professional. I cannot spend 3 hours a day learning how to edit in CapCut.
No, of course not.
But you know who can? A college kid.
Ah, yes. Here it comes. The Gen Z magic bullet theory.
That is exactly what it is. You think, I will just hire an intern. They're on their phones 12 hours a day anyway, right? They speak the language natively.
They understand the vibes.
Right, the vibes. So you think, I will pay them a small stipend, hand them the login credentials, and I will literally never have to think about this social media headache ever again. It feels like the absolute perfect solution.
It feels like relief. It really does. But as we are going to unpack today, that specific thought process, that idea of I will just hand it off and forget it, is actually one of the most dangerous things you can do for your brand right now.
Dangerous. I mean, that feels like a pretty strong word for just hiring a marketing intern to make some TikToks.
It is a strong word, but honestly, it is completely accurate. We have this incredible source we are diving deep into today. It is a really comprehensive guide from the Whoop social blog written by Frank Heidenreich.
Yeah, a great piece.
And the piece is called How to Hire Your First Social Media Intern Without Creating Chaos. And the key word in that entire title is chaos.
Chaos.
Yes, because if you hire a student based purely on their vibes and you just hand them the keys to your public reputation without any sort of underlying system, you are not actually solving a marketing problem. You are creating a massive liability.
Okay, so let us really unpack this chaos factor first, because I think most people assume the absolute worst case scenario with an intern is just, they post some boring stuff and nobody watches it. You were saying the stakes are quite a bit higher than zero engagement.
So much higher.
Yeah.
I mean, think about where social media sits in the landscape of 2026. It is no longer just a digital brochure. It is sitting right next to your revenue and your reputation.
For a small business or even a personal brand, the feed is basically the first place a potential client checks. It is the new homepage.
Precisely. It is the primary filter. Now, I want you to imagine that you have taken that critical touch point and handed it over to a 20-year-old who has zero professional experience, no real context on your specific industry, and absolutely no guardrails.
That does sound a bit terrifying when you phrase it like that.
The source points out very clearly that one off-brand caption, one misfired tweet, or, and this is usually the really big one ignored customer comment, can do actual quantifiable damage to your credibility.
The ignored complaint is the one that really scares me.
And it should. Think about it. If a frustrated customer leaves a comment saying, hey, my order never arrived, or your software deleted my data.
Right, a serious issue.
And the intern, who has no idea how to handle customer service routing, just ignores it. Or worse, what if they delete the comment because they think it ruins the aesthetic vibe of the comment section?
Oh, wow. Yeah, deleting it would be disastrous.
You have just signaled to the entire open market that your company fundamentally does not care about its customers. That is the chaos factor in action.
The article uses a really funny but painfully accurate analogy for this exact mindset. It calls it the MacGyver approach.
Yes. I absolutely love this part. This is such a crucial image to keep in mind. You remember MacGyver, right? The guy who could fix a nuclear reactor with a paperclip and a piece of chewing gum.
Duct tape and a prayer.
Exactly. A lot of business owners treat interns like MacGyvered versions of a senior marketing director.
Because they are young,
Right. They think, well, this kid knows how to use TikTok, so they must also inherently understand high-level brand strategy, direct response copywriting, crisis communication, and graphic design.
Which is completely unfair to the intern, by the way.
It is entirely unfair. You are basically duct taping a college student to the side of your business and just hoping they can do the job of a 10-year industry veteran.
And when you put it that way, out loud, it sounds completely ridiculous. But I think we do it because, well, we are desperate. We just want the pain of not posting to go away.
We want the guilt to stop. But the result of that MacGyver approach is always inconsistent results and incredibly high brand risk.
So our mission for this deep dive today is to completely flip that script. We are going to look at the actual operating system for hiring an intern.
An operating system, meaning we're not just talking about what questions to ask in the interview.
No, not at all. We're going to cover how to diagnose your actual underlying problem before you even write a job ad. We will look at how to design a role that is safe for the intern and safe for your company.
And how to hire based on feeds, not resumes, which I know is a huge paradigm shift.
A massive shift. And finally, we will break down the workflow engine, the actual day-to-day checklist that lets you sleep peacefully at night while this intern ships high-quality content for you in 2026.
I love the sound of a workflow engine. So let us start at the very beginning of the process. Section 1, diagnosing the problem. This is where probably 90% of people fail immediately. They just open up a Word document and start writing a generic job description before they even understand their own bottleneck.
Well, let me play the role of the busy listener here.
Yeah.
Isn't bottleneck just, I do not have enough content, I need more content?
That is the symptom. That is not the actual constraint. Frank Heidenreich argues in the source that you have to identify the real constraint. And usually people trick themselves into thinking the constraint is a lack of ideas.
I hear that all the time. People say, I am just not creative enough to be a creator.
But usually, especially for an established business owner, ideas are cheap. You know your business inside and out. You know your customers' pain points. You literally have a million things to say.
So if there's not a lack of ideas, what is it?
The real constraint almost always falls into one of three buckets. It is volume, it is consistency, or it is technical friction.
Let us dig into technical friction first, because that sounds exactly like the video bottleneck that was heavily featured in the source material.
Absolutely. This is the absolute classic 2026 marketing problem. You, the business owner, have a great idea. You set up your phone, you record a fantastic 2-minute video talking straight to camera.
I feel great about it.
You feel amazing, you have the raw file, but to actually get that raw file onto Instagram Reels or LinkedIn, you have to do a lot of chores.
You have to trim the dead air at the start and the end.
You have to generate captions and fix the spelling mistakes in them. You maybe have to find some B-roll footage to overlay so people do not get bored. You have to select a cover image, write an engaging text caption, and add hashtags.
And if you are not a native video editor, that process takes what, an hour?
Or 2 hours, or 3.
Yeah.
You open up CapCut or Premiere Pro on your desktop and you just stare at the timeline. You end up fiddling with the drop shadow on the caption font for 20 minutes.
I have absolutely been guilty of the drop shadow spiral.
We all have. That is the video bottleneck. It takes you 3 hours to edit 20 seconds of usable content. That is a pure technical constraint.
So in that specific case, you do not need an intern to come up with a brilliant marketing strategy. You just need an intern who is a really fast editor.
Exactly. You just need a pair of hands that can move through that specific software much faster than your hands can. Or let us consider another bucket, the consistency constraint.
Okay, how does that one look?
Maybe you are actually pretty fast at editing and you post really great high-value stuff, but you only do it once every 3 weeks, usually on a Sunday night when you suddenly feel a burst of inspiration.
And the algorithm absolutely hates that.
And the algorithm punishes inconsistency severely. If you are flaky, the social platforms will simply stop showing your content to your audience.
Because they want to keep people on the app, and they rely on creators who feed the machine daily.
Exactly. So in that scenario, your constraint is cadence. You do not need strategy either. You need someone whose sole operational job is to ensure that the content machine is fed every single day at 9 in the morning, regardless of whether you feel inspired or not.
So what you were saying is, before we even think about posting a job ad, we have to clearly define the win. And the win cannot just be some vague goal like, help us with social media.
Right. It has to be a highly specific, measurable outcome. Something like, we need 5 short-form videos per week, fully edited and ready for my review by Thursday afternoon.
Or we need someone to reply to every single community comment within a 4-hour window. Those are actual solvable problems.
Exactly. As opposed to, hey, intern, please make my business famous. That is not a solvable problem for a 20-year-old.
That distinction is huge, making me famous versus editing 5 videos.
Right.
One is basically hoping for magic, and the other is just labor. We are hiring for labor.
Hmm?
Correct.
Hmm.
We are hiring for high-skill labor, but at the end of the day, it is execution labor. Now, once you have clearly diagnosed your specific constraint, you actually have a menu of options for support. The source points out that an intern is not automatically the right answer for everyone, right? There is this whole support model breakdown. You know, the freelancer, the agency, the part-time coordinator. Can you walk us through the trade-offs here? Because sometimes I think to myself, maybe I should just shell out the money for an agency and be completely done with it.
That is the classic money versus time trade-off. Let us look at the agency model first. This is what you would call the comprehensive system. You pay them a monthly retainer, which is usually a very significant amount of money.
We are talking thousands a month.
Multiple thousands. But for that premium, they have a dedicated strategist, a copywriter, a professional video editor, and an account manager to handle the workflow.
So they really are this set-it-and-forget-it option that actually delivers results.
They are, assuming you hire a good one. But the source makes a really strong argument that for a lot of local businesses or solo consultants or personal brands, an agency is total overkill.
You are using a cannon to kill a mosquito.
That is a perfect way to put it. Plus, agencies often really struggle to capture the authentic, messy, real voice of a founder because they are not sitting in the room with you hearing how you naturally speak.
That is very fair. Agency content can sometimes feel a bit too polished, almost corporate. So what about the freelancer route?
The freelancer is a step down in cost, usually, and they are typically highly specialized experts in one specific thing. Like they will say, I am exclusively a short-form video editor for real estate agents.
Which sounds great if that is your exact bottleneck.
It is great, but the inherent risk with a freelancer is attention. You have to remember that you are just one of maybe 10 or 15 clients they are juggling.
So if you have a sudden crisis, or you need a rush job because a trend is blowing up today,
they might simply not be available. You are buying their output, usually by the project or the hour. You are not buying their exclusive loyalty or their full strategic focus.
and then we finally arrive at the intern. The source actually positions the intern as the high-management, low-cost option, which is incredibly honest.
It is the most honest framing I have seen. You are absolutely saving money. Intern stipends or hourly rates are dramatically lower than an agency retainer. But you are paying the difference with your own time.
Because you have to manage them.
You have to teach them. You have to manage their workflow. You have to review their work. If you are currently drowning in your business and you literally have 0 minutes to spare in your week, hiring an intern might actually drown you faster.
Whoa, that is a serious reality check. If you have 0 minutes, an intern will drown you faster.
It is just a fact. Because you have to build the onboarding. You have to fix their inevitable mistakes. If you are not willing to build the operational system we are about to discuss, do not hire an intern. Go hire a freelancer and pay the premium.
Okay. But let us assume our listener is self-aware. They have diagnosed their constraint. They are willing to put in that upfront time to build the machine because they really want that native Gen Z understanding of the platforms in-house.
Okay, then they're ready for the next step.
So how do we actually design this role so that it does not blow up in our faces?
This brings us right into section 2 of our deep dive, designing the safe role. And the core foundational concept here is guardrails.
Guardrails.
You absolutely need to separate the daily tasks of social media into 2 very distinct buckets. The safe-to-delegate tasks and the must-stay-with-you tasks.
The source refers to these as the commodity tasks versus the precious resource tasks, right?
Exactly. Let us look at the safe bucket first, the commodities. These are the execution tasks where if the intern totally messes it up, nobody in the public ever sees it, or it is incredibly easy to fix before it goes live.
Give me some concrete examples of what fits in that safe bucket.
A great one is fleshing out brain dumps. Let us say you're driving home from work and you record a 3-minute voice memo on your phone just ranting about a terrible new trend in your industry.
I do that all the time, just talking to myself in the car.
We all do. You
What?
take that messy audio file and you send it to the intern. Their safe task is to transcribe that audio, clean up the grammar, pull out the 3 main bullet points, and draft a formatted LinkedIn post for you to review.
That is a massive time saver because getting from a blank page to a first draft is the hardest part.
Huge time saver. And more importantly, it is completely safe. Because if they write a terrible first draft that misses your point entirely, what happens?
Nothing happens. I just do not post it.
Exactly. No public harm done. Another great safe task is condensing long-form content. Let us say you wrote a massive 2,000-word blog post. The intern takes that and chops it up into a 10-part Twitter thread.
Or extracting video clips from a webinar.
Yes. You do a 1-hour webinar on Zoom. They scrub through the footage and find the 3 best 30-second moments, and they clip them out.
Okay, what about just general organization? Because social media creates so many files.
Asset sorting is the perfect safe task. Organizing your messy Google Drive, tagging photos with keywords. If you say, hey, find me that picture of me smiling at the trade show last year, they know exactly where it is. That is low-risk, high-value execution.
So those are the safe commodities. Now, we have to talk about the precious resources, the must-stay-with-you tasks. This is the danger zone.
This is the stuff that can ruin your company if handled poorly. Strategy and overall brand positioning must stay with you. Crisis communications must stay with you. And most importantly, final approval.
The source is incredibly adamant about that last one. The intern does not have the authority to actually hit the publish button without a sign-off.
At least not in the first 90 days. The publish button is essentially the nuclear launch key for your public brand.
You have to keep the key.
You keep the key. And you also keep the credit card. Paid media spending, running Facebook ads, boosting posts, that is a must-stay task. You do not want a college student experimenting with your limited advertising budget to see what happens.
Okay, I agree with all of this from a pure risk management perspective. It makes perfect sense. But I just play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
If I write up a job description and it essentially says, you will organize my messy files, you will transcribe my car rants, you are not allowed to post anything yourself, and you cannot touch the budget.
It sounds restrictive.
It sounds like a terrible, boring job. Why would a smart, highly creative Gen Z student actually want to work for me under those conditions?
That is the #1 pushback I hear from business owners when we talk about guardrails. They say, I do not want to stifle their natural creativity. But you have to radically reframe what the deal actually is.
What do you mean by the deal?
High potential interns, the really sharp ones that you actually want in your business, they are not looking for raw power. They know they are 20 years old. They are looking for evidence.
Evidence of what? Like that they did a good job?
Evidence that they can execute in a real professional environment. They want tangible portfolio pieces. So your offer to them is not, you get to be the boss of my company's marketing.
Because that would be a lie anyway.
Right. Your offer is, I'm going to teach you how a real profitable business operates. I am going to give you direct, weekly feedback on your copywriting from a senior professional. And by the end of the semester, you will have a highly tangible project outcome that you can put on your resume to get your next job.
Ah, okay. I see. So you give them a specific bounded project like, I built a 30-day content reserve engine.
Exactly. Or I personally produced 50 short-form videos that generated a combined 100,000 views for a B2B software company.
That is absolute gold for a 21-year-old trying to enter the job market.
It is incredibly valuable. You are trading your mentorship, your industry experience, and portfolio assets for their fast execution labor. When you frame it like that, it is a very fair, very attractive trade.
That definitely makes me feel better about the restrictions.
Yeah.
It shifts it from feeling like exploitation to feeling like a structured apprenticeship.
Apprenticeship is the exact right word for it. And to keep that apprenticeship completely safe for both of you, the source insists that you also need a literal, written down, do not touch list.
Okay, what goes on the do not touch list, just so there's zero ambiguity?
#1, absolutely no engaging in debates in the comments section. If someone wants to argue about politics or complain about your pricing being too high, the intern does not touch it, period.
They just leave it alone.
They flag it for you to handle. #2, no sharing personal opinions on breaking news events from the company account.
Oh, that is a big one. The urge to jump on a trending news hashtag is so strong.
It is a trap. And #3, no attempting to solve complex customer service problems on the fly.
Right, because I can just imagine a really eager intern trying to be helpful, and they end up promising a refund policy that your company does not actually offer.
Oh, you are mad about your software bug. Here's a free year of premium service. No. You have to explicitly forbid that behavior up front. They need to understand that their job is to act as a router for those issues, not the ultimate solver of those issues.
Okay, so we have the constraint diagnosed, we have the role defined with guardrails, and a clear apprenticeship offer. Now, where do we actually find these magical creatures? Section 3 is the search process.
And this is where the source has a really fascinating modern take. The methodology here is feeds, not resumes.
Feeds over resumes. I feel like this is a massive departure from how traditional HR works.
It is my favorite part of the entire Whoop social framework. Because in the specific world of social media marketing, a traditional paper resume is almost entirely useless.
That is a pretty bold statement. Why is a resume useless?
Think about it. Anyone can type social media manager for the university chess club on a PDF and make it look impressive. But that text tells you absolutely nothing about their actual taste in content. It tells you nothing about their editing speed. And it tells you nothing about their visceral ability to hold human attention on a screen. The source argues that the social platform feed itself is the resume.
So you were saying you want to look at their personal TikTok account or their personal Instagram.
Yes, absolutely. Or any public accounts they have actively managed, you are looking for undeniable proof of action. The metric the source really loves is this. I do not care what prestigious university you went to. I care that you have managed to post 30 to 100 times in the last 6 months.
30 to 100 times.
Yeah.
That is a massive amount of volume for a college student.
It is. And that volume proves a few critical things. It proves they are not paralyzed by perfectionism. It proves they are not afraid of hitting the publish button. And it proves they have the consistency we talked about earlier.
You are basically looking for someone who is already doing the job in the wild.
Exactly. You are looking for what the source calls scrappy portfolios. Maybe they did not work for a real brand, but maybe they ran a highly successful niche meme page. Or maybe they manage a massive fan account for a pop star.
So let me pose a hypothetical hiring scenario. You get a beautifully formatted resume from a student with a perfect 4.0 GPA in marketing theory, but they have zero personal digital footprint. And then you get an application from a student with a 2.5 GPA, but they actively run a local dog walking Instagram account with 5,000 engaged followers.
You hire the dog walker every single time, without hesitation.
Really? Even with the low GPA?
Yes, because the dog walker inherently understands the reality of the platform. They know how to get a stranger to stop scrolling and look at a golden retriever. The 4.0 student understands textbook marketing theory from 2018.
And theory does not edit CapCut videos.
Exactly. You do not need theory at this level. You need raw execution.
Okay, so we agree we are looking at their feeds instead of their resumes.
Yeah.
But what exactly are we looking for when we scroll their feed? Because good content is incredibly subjective. What I think is funny, a Gen Z intern might think is completely cringe.
That is true, but the source gives us a highly specific technical lens to use. You are not judging humor. You are looking for retention logic.
Retention logic. Please break that down for us, because that sounds like a masterclass concept.
When you watch their sample videos, do not just look at the total view count. The algorithm is too random for that. You need to analyze the actual construction of the video itself.
Okay, so breaking down the edit.
Yes. In the very first 3 seconds of the video, does the camera angle change? Do text graphics pop up on the screen? Is there a noticeable pattern interrupt?
A pattern interrupt. What is that?
A pattern interrupt is something that jolts the viewer's brain out of the passive scrolling state. It could be a sudden sound effect, a fast zoom in on their face, or a drastic change in lighting. If the video they made is literally just a static, unmoving shot of them sitting at a desk talking for 15 seconds with zero cuts.
Then they do not understand retention.
Right. They do not understand how the modern attention economy works. They do not know how to systematically earn the next second of the viewer's time.
Earning the next second. That is a fantastic mental model for content creation.
It is the only model that works in 2026. You also need to look very closely at the hook. When you watch their video, can you identify specifically why you stopped scrolling? Was it a provocative headline text? Was it a bizarre visual? If they cannot figure out how to hook you, they will never be able to hook your potential customers.
And the source also mentioned something called comment instincts. What are we looking for there?
This goes back to the crisis communication risk. You actually want to go into the comment section of their personal videos. If some random troll comments, "This video was so incredibly dumb," how did the creator respond?
Did they take the bait?
Exactly. Did they get super defensive and write a 3-paragraph angry essay fighting back? Because if they did, they will probably do that on your company account.
Which is a nightmare.
Total nightmare. Or alternatively, did they respond with a clever joke? Did they just pin the mean comment to make fun of it? Or did they just totally ignore it? You are looking for someone who can handle the heat of the internet without burning down your digital house.
So you have found a few candidates. They have scrappy feeds, good retention logic, and calm comment instincts. Now you have to actually interview them. But the source suggests a critical step right before the traditional interview, the test drive.
Yes. Never, ever hire a creative role without a paid work sample. You have to see them perform the actual tasks.
What does a good test drive look like for an intern?
The suggested exercise from the source is highly practical.
Yeah.
You say, take this one current offer our business has, or take this one blog post we just wrote. Now write 5 completely different hooks for this one piece of content, and then sketch out a simple 7-day posting plan.
Wait, 5 different hooks for one single post. Why force them to write 5?
Because it tests throughput. Honestly, anyone can stumble onto one good idea if they sit there long enough.
Right.
But can they systematically generate 5 distinct variations? This tests their ability to iterate without getting creatively blocked. If a candidate struggles and sweats just to write 3 alternate headlines during a test drive, they are going to drown in the actual day-to-day job.
Because the job requires relentless volume.
Exactly. And then finally, you bring them in for the actual interview, but you do not just wing it. You use the scorecard.
The scorecard. Let us talk about this, because interviewing objectively is really hard. It is so easy to just hire the person who smiled the most or who had the best small talk.
Charisma bias is a huge problem in hiring marketers. The source suggests grading candidates strictly on 5 dimensions, rating them from a 1 to a 5.
Let us run through those 5 dimensions.
Dimension 1 is writing quality. Can they actually construct a clear, grammatically correct sentence?
Which is shockingly rare.
Very rare. Dimension 2 is taste. Do they have an innate eye for what looks visually appealing and modern? Dimension 3 is reliability.
And the source says reliability is basically pass or fail, right?
Absolutely. If they submit the test drive assignment an hour late or they log into the Zoom interview 5 minutes late without a great excuse, do not hire them. If they are flaky before they have the job, they will be useless when the pressure is on.
Dimension 4 is throughput, which we just tested with the 5 hooks, the speed of output. And then dimension 5 is coachability.
Yes.
Now, coachability seems really hard to test in a standard 30-minute interview. Everyone claims they love feedback.
They do claim that, but you can test it live by giving them direct, slightly critical feedback on their test drive work during the interview.
Oh, that is smart.
You look at their work and say, hey, I really liked the second hook you wrote, but I thought the 4th one was pretty weak. Walk me through why you chose that phrasing.
And you watch their reaction.
Exactly. If they cross their arms, get defensive, and try to argue with you about why the 4th hook is actually genius, they are not coachable. But if they lean in and say, oh, you know what? I see what you mean. If I had to do it again, I would change that word to make it punchier.
Then you have a winner.
Oh,
They are willing to adapt.
exactly. They are coachable.
Okay, so let us say we did it. We ran the test drive, we used the scorecard, and we hired our intern. We found that scrappy, fast-editing dog walker who understands retention logic and takes feedback perfectly.
Congratulations, you solved the easy part.
Right, because now comes the actually hard part, the day-to-day reality of working together. This brings us to section 4, the workflow engine.
This section is where the rubber finally meets the road. Most business owners fail spectacularly right here, because their idea of a workflow is just sending chaotic Slack messages at random hours.
Hey, can you post something about the new product today?
Or sending an email saying, hey, what about that idea we talked about last Tuesday? That is pure operational chaos. To make this work, you need what the source calls a circular workflow.
A circular workflow. Paint a picture of what that circle actually looks like in practice.
It is a continuous loop. It starts with the brief, moves to research, then creation, then review, then scheduling, then engaging with the comments, then reporting the metrics, and then the circle repeats itself.
I want to zoom way in on the very first step of that circle, the brief. Because honestly, as a manager, I absolutely hate writing briefs. It feels like I'm doing high school homework. Do I realistically need to write a formal brief for every single short Instagram post?
If you do not write the brief up front, you will spend 10 times as long editing the terrible draft they produce later.
That is a fair point.
But a brief does not have to be a multi-page PDF document. It can just be a simple checklist row in a tool like Notion or Asana or Trello, but that row must explicitly clarify the what.
What are the mandatory elements that need to be in that mini brief?
You need the specific goal. For example, the goal is to get email signups for next week's webinar. You need the single key message you want to convey. And you need the operational constraints like this video must be under 60 seconds.
Okay, that is manageable. I can write that in 3 minutes.
But the truly magical part of this workflow engine is the checklist that the intern uses before they are allowed to submit the draft to you for review.
The pre-flight check.
Yes. And the most vital item on that pre-flight checklist is something the source calls the first sentence rule.
The first sentence rule. What does that mean in practice?
On almost every single social platform today, whether it is LinkedIn text, a TikTok video, or a Twitter thread, the very first sentence or the first visual second determines about 80% of the post's success.
Because that is the hook.
Right. So the mandatory checklist question the intern must answer is, does the first sentence of this post promise highly specific value to the reader?
So they cannot just start a video saying, Happy Monday, everyone.
Happy Monday is an automatic, immediate fail. Happy Monday promises absolutely nothing to a busy person scrolling on the toilet.
That would be a passing first sentence.
A passing sentence is something like, here's the exact 3-step framework we use to save our clients $500 on their taxes. That promises tangible value.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So as the manager, my job in the workflow is basically just to check the post against that list.
Exactly. And here's the secret to not drowning in management. If the intern submits a draft and you see that they failed the first sentence rule, you do not sit there and rewrite the hook for them.
You don't?
No, you reject it.
Oh, that sounds a little harsh. Just hit and reject?
It is not harsh. It is training. If you rewrite the bad hook for them, you are teaching them that if they do sloppy, rushed work, the senior manager will swoop in and fix it.
You train them to be lazy?
Exactly. But if you simply reject the ticket in Trello and leave a comment saying, failed first sentence rule, please try again, they have to go back and figure out how to fix it themselves. That is how you successfully transition from being a glorified copy editor to being a true manager.
That is an incredibly powerful psychological shift.
Ah.
You hold the standard, but they have to do the reps to meet it.
Precisely. Now, we also need to acknowledge that we are operating in 2026. The actual fundamental demands of content have shifted dramatically from even just a few years ago.
Right. A picture of a coffee cup does not cut it anymore.
The workflow system we are building needs to specifically support a short-form video factory.
A factory. So we are not really hiring writers who sometimes take photos on their iPhone. We are explicitly hiring video producers.
You are building an assembly line for video. And inside that factory, we need to talk about two very specific modern strategies, trend jacking and variations.
Trend jacking. I have to admit, I feel like this is a massive trap for most small businesses. They see some weird dancing cat meme blowing up on TikTok and they try to copy it, and it just looks so desperate.
It usually is incredibly desperate, which is why the source provides a very strict, unbreakable rule for this. You are only allowed to jack a trend if you can organically connect that trend to a specific customer problem in one single sentence.
One sentence. Give me a concrete example of how that works.
Okay, let us imagine there is a massive trending audio clip right now of a reality TV star just screaming in absolute frustration.
A very common trend.
Right. A terrible, desperate trend jack is you, the business owner, lip-syncing the scream, and the text just says, Mondays, am I right?
Pure cringe. Total cringe.
Exactly. It adds no value and makes you look silly. A good strategic trend jack is you using that same screaming audio, but the text overlay says when the client sends the final logo files in a Microsoft Word document instead of a vector PDF.
Oh, that is actually really funny. If your audience is graphic designers, they will feel that pain instantly.
Exactly. If you can make that clean one-sentence connection to your specific audience's daily pain, the trend works beautifully. If you or the intern cannot make that connection easily, you must skip the trend.
I love that rule. It filters out all the garbage. So that is trend jacking. What about variations?
Variations are how you actually win the algorithmic game. The platform algorithms today heavily prioritize active testing over perfect polish.
Testing multiple things to see what sticks.
Right. So your intern's workflow should never be spend 3 days making one single perfect video. The workflow must be make one solid video, but produce 3 completely different text hooks for the cover screen.
So you film the core message once, but you package it 3 different ways.
Exactly. You post all 3 variations over a few weeks, and the market tells you which hook performed the best. Small, agile companies can consistently beat massive corporate competitors simply by learning faster. And you learn faster by producing more variations.
That is brilliant. Quantity literally leads to quality because quantity generates the data you need to improve.
That is the secret of the short-form factory.
Okay, this is all incredibly strategic. Let us bring it back down to earth and move to section 5. Onboarding. We are in the first 30 days. You have the person sitting at their desk. You have the workflow built in Trello. How do you actually get them up to speed on your company's tone without spending your entire life explaining your brand voice?
You build what the source calls the mini brand Bible.
Oh, no. Please do not tell me I have to write a 50-page corporate handbook. I will never do it.
Nobody will. And more importantly, the intern will absolutely never read a 50-page handbook.
Okay.
The mini brand Bible is a one-pager. That is it. Just one single page that contains 4 critical elements. Number 1, your top 3 customer pain points.
Keep it focused on the customer.
Always. Number 2, your one-sentence positioning statement. Who we are and who we specifically help. Number 3, the most common objections you hear in sales calls.
Why do they need the sales objections?
Because good social media content systematically destroys sales objections before the prospect even books a call. If the objection is your service is too expensive, the intern knows they need to make content proving the massive return on investment.
That makes total sense. Content as pre-sales.
Yeah.
What is the 4th element?
The 4th element is the absolute best part, the win-loss list. I think this is genuinely the most practical tip in the entire Whoop Social Guide.
The win-loss list. How does that work?
On their very first day, you sit the intern down and you show them 5 specific social media posts your company did in the past that worked incredibly well, and you explain exactly why they worked.
Like, this video got traction because the hook was highly controversial.
Exactly. Or this post worked because it showed a behind-the-scenes messy process. Then you show them 5 posts that completely bombed, and you explain why they failed.
This one failed because the lighting was dark and the caption was way too technical and boring.
Yes. Running through that practical win-loss list teaches a new hire your company's taste significantly faster than reading a document about brand adjectives ever could.
It is like trying to teach a new chef what a great dish tastes like. You do not just hand them a printed recipe and walk away. You make them taste the perfect soup, and then you make them taste the burned soup so they know the difference.
That is a perfect analogy. The taste is what matters. You also want to set up an ongoing system for competitive intel during this onboarding phase.
Competitive intel sounds like corporate espionage.
It is much simpler than that. You have the intern select 3 of your most successful direct competitors. And their job is not just to lazily watch their videos. Their job is to rigorously track their posting frequency and identify their recurring content formats so you can ethically borrow them.
Ethically borrow. That is a very polite phrasing.
Well, look. If a competitor starts doing a Q&A Friday video series and you notice it's getting massive community engagement, you absolutely do not copy their actual answers.
Right, that would be plagiarism.
But you should absolutely copy the core format of hosting a Q&A Friday. Formats are not copyrighted. The intern's job is to spot the winning formats in your industry.
Okay, so the intern is onboarded. They're spotting formats. They're shipping variations. Now, as we manage them week to week, we have to look at the numbers. The source makes a really aggressive distinction between vanity metrics and operator metrics. I think this distinction is crucial for a business owner keeping their sanity.
It is the only way to stay sane. A vanity metric is something like total views or follower count or the number of likes on a post.
But everyone tracks those. Why are they vanity metrics?
Because the algorithm is inherently fickle and completely out of your control. You can produce a structurally perfect, highly educational video, and it might just flop because of a weird platform update that day.
And conversely, you can post something completely stupid that accidentally goes viral.
Exactly. So the problem with judging a 20-year-old intern on vanity metrics is that it creates the wrong incentives. You should never fire an intern just because a video only got 300 views.
So if we ignore views, what do we actually measure them against?
You measure them and you fire them based on operator metrics. These are inputs that are entirely within their control.
Give me the operator metrics.
Metric 1, quantity shipped. Did we successfully get the 5 videos edited and approved this week, yes or no? Metric 2, cadence. Did the post actually go live every single day at 9 in the morning, or did they forget on Thursday?
It is basically measuring their professionalism.
Exactly. And metric 3. Quality score improvement. Based on that 1 to 5 scorecard we talked about, are they making the same sloppy first sentence mistakes in week 4 that they made in week 1? Or are they learning and improving?
You judge the input, not the algorithmic output.
You manage the machine. You do not manage the lottery tickets. The viral hits are lottery tickets. If the internal machine runs consistently well, eventually one of those lottery tickets will hit the jackpot. But your job is to manage the machine's reliability.
That takes so much emotional pressure off the relationship. You were just managing their consistency.
It makes it a professional job, not a magical art project. And once that reliable machine is really humming along, say, around month 3 or month 4, you can finally add a powerful growth lever to their plate: outreach.
Outreach. Is this where the intern starts sliding into people's DMs?
Very professionally. But yes, essentially. Small scale, highly targeted, polite outreach.
What does that look like in a business context?
They find someone in your industry who posted something interesting. They send a direct message from the brand account saying, "Hey, I loved your recent post about the new software update. We actually just published a deep dive on a similar topic. Thought you might find it valuable. No pressure."
Or using DMs to set up micro partnerships with other creators.
Exactly. The source argues that having an intern execute 5 to 10 of these authentic one-on-one DM conversations a month can actually generate more tangible business leads than 30 days of just blindly posting content into the void.
Because it is building actual relationships. It is humans talking directly to humans.
Which, ironically, is what social media was originally supposed to be about in the first place, before it became a broadcast television network.
Right. We forget that the social part of social media is actually a strategy.
Before we completely wrap up this deep dive, I want to pivot and touch on the human side of this entire equation.
I think that is really important.
We have spent the last hour talking about engines and machines and operational assets. But at the end of the day, we're talking about employing young college students. Section 6 of our outline brings in some really grounding statistics from NACE.
The National Association of Colleges and Employers.
Right. And I think this data provides some much-needed context. Because some business owners feel a little guilty about this model. They think, am I just exploiting a kid for cheap marketing labor?
It is a common fear, but the actual data tells a completely different story. The NACE research shows that almost 80%, 79.9% to be exact, of students report being highly satisfied with their internship experiences.
So they are not feeling exploited. No, because this is a mutually beneficial arrangement. When structured correctly with the guardrails and the apprenticeship model we discussed, the student gets massive, accelerated real-world learning.
And it is a direct pipeline to a real career.
That is the ultimate big picture here. The stats show that employers end up extending full-time job offers to roughly 62% of their interns.
More than half. That is incredible.
You are not just getting some cheap temporary labor to survive the semester. If you do this right, you are essentially conducting a 3-month-long, fully paid working interview for your future full-time marketing manager.
That completely changes the perspective from a cost center to a talent investment.
And you have to realize that this specific talent pool actively wants to be found. The NE report highlights that in sectors like tech, internships are insanely competitive. We are talking 273 applications per single internship posting.
Wow, 273.
The hunger from this generation to prove themselves is absolutely there. If you, the business owner, can provide the professional structure and the safety guardrails, they will bring the native energy and the platform fluency.
So let us try to bring this entire massive topic home. We started this deep dive with a stressed out, overwhelmed business owner looking for a quick MacGyver fix to their Instagram guilt.
And we are ending it with a robust operational system.
The system really is the key. Let us recap the journey. Step 1. Diagnose the specific constraint. Are you lacking editing speed, or are you lacking cadence consistency?
Step 2. Design a safe role. Separate the safe commodity drafts from the precious resource final approvals.
Step 3. Hire for feeds, not resumes. Look for retention logic and scrappy portfolios over a high GPA.
Step 4. Build the actual circular workflow engine. Use strict briefs and strictly enforce the first sentence rule to avoid becoming a glorified editor.
And step 5, onboard them with a clear win-loss list so they understand your taste immediately. It does sound like a substantial amount of work up front.
I will not lie to you, it absolutely is. It probably takes a solid 10 to 20 hours of your focused time to build out these checklists and set up this Trello board properly.
That is a real investment.
But once that machine is built, you completely remove yourself from the tedious creation loop. You elevate yourself from the exhausted video editor to the strategic editor-in-chief.
And that has to be the ultimate goal, to stop being the primary bottleneck in your own company's growth.
Exactly. And I want to leave you and everyone listening with this final, somewhat provocative thought.
Please do.
If you build the system exactly the way we just discussed, you are not actually just hiring a temporary intern.
What are you doing?
You are actively building a proprietary data set.
A data set. What do you mean by that contextually?
Think about the workflow. Every single time that intern posts a variation and you review the metrics and you log it as a win or a loss in your system, you are steadily building a highly documented library of what specifically works for your exact audience.
Oh, I see.
If that specific intern graduates or quits tomorrow or gets a massive job at Google, the knowledge does not leave with them. That library of data stays with your company. The checklist stays. The optimized workflow stays.
So the true lasting asset is not the talented person. The asset is the proven process they helped you build.
Exactly. You are building an independent machine that generates audience growth, regardless of whose physical hands are currently turning the crank. That mental shift from relying on a person to relying on a system is the fundamental difference between just hiring some temporary help and actually building a scalable business.
The asset is the process. I think that is the absolute perfect place to leave this deep dive. It looks like we both have quite a few Trello checklists to go right, my friend.
We certainly do. Time to get to work.
Thank you all so much for listening to this deep dive. Good luck out there finding your scrappy, fast-editing dog walker. We will see you all next time.
See you then.